So this is our free masterclass that we have put together for you on treating rosacea using AO Medical skincare. So before we begin, I just wanted to share a little bit about, some of you know us, some of you don't, but so we are the Esty sisters. That's Lynn and I'm Rachel, and we are actually sisters. We call us Irish twins. So she's 13 months older, and we both have business backgrounds. We come from corporate America. We kind of got burnt out from the corporate environment. We went on to pursue the skincare industry, and now we've been close to 40 years combined experience running our own skincare practices. So we are thrilled, enjoying ourselves. We've worked with many lines over the years. We've done a lot of research and investigation, and we usually choose our lines based on a number of things. Mostly, how quality of a company, quality of ingredients, their philosophy on skincare, and things like that. Probably about 5 years ago, I found through a friend of mine, she forwarded me an article from Harper's Bazaar magazine, and it talked about the needle-free filler facial. And I was totally intrigued. I mean, that sounds amazing. So I went and researched it and ended up starting to carry that facial or do that facial in my practice. And it was phenomenal. I mean, needle-free filler facial, where you can get filler-like results from a facial that actually lasts. And so since that time, AO Medical has come out with a whole line around that product or that treatment. And so I shared that with Lynn. I shared different devices with her, and she started using them in her practice. And she started mentoring and coaching other estheticians and started talking about, hey, how do you set yourself apart from the competition? And Lynn started sharing, hey, this is what I'm doing, and this is phenomenal. This is unlike anything we've ever seen, and extremely, it's taken our business further than we've even gone before. And now we have a partnership relationship with them where we educate and we rep for them. So it's been a super exciting journey. And Lynn and I, through the Esty sisters, partnering with AO Medical, provide our own private authorized AO Medical support group. So it's on Facebook, where we have demos and past Zoom calls or classes. We create our own protocols. We Q&A. You also may see some other protocols or people doing things a little bit differently than we do. And I just want you to know that that's totally fine. Lynn and I, through our experience as Esties, have really targeted key treatments, key products, and we've tried them, tested them in our practices, and we think they're amazing. And so we share those in our group with you. Something that we're doing that really works. So it's not that, Esties we have some flexibility, right, in how we put our protocols together. So the ones you'll find in our group are put together by us and are backed by, the years that we've been using them in our rooms and things like that. We also provide one-on-one calls with Esties. So whether you are with us already, if you have a need and you want to chat about what's going on in your business and how, to utilize the products better, we do that. We also do it with new people. And then the other thing that we offer, Lynn offers a mentoring in the treatment room program. So people that are new estheticians or people that just want to further hone in on their SD skills in the treatment room, it's a phenomenal program that Lynn offers there. So today we're going to cover and touch on why Korean skincare, what's the buzz about. We're going to talk about AO Medical, and those of you that aren't familiar, I've been mentioning their name, the company, the distributor. We'll cover some information on that. We're going to talk about Rosacea 101. So during these classes, we usually like to give some basic foundational education on the topic we're talking about. So we're not going to go deep dive heavy into rosacea, but we definitely are going to cover some key points that I think are important, maybe to new people or even to all of us just as a refresher, or just, some things that we may not remember or have heard of. We're going to talk about what can SD do in treating rosacea. We're going to cover back bar products and devices that are used or that we find through AO Medical that are really have worked well in our treatment rooms. We're going to also cover rosacea facial protocols that Lynn and I created. We're going to talk about suggested home care for rosacea, again, through AO Medical products that are available. We've actually taken those facial protocols or the suggested home care protocols, and we bundled the products together. So when you go on the site, you'll be able to find, hey, I really want to try what the estheticians were talking about in that class. Here's the retail. So you get one of each and you can try that. So that'll be fun, and then we'll cover that at the end. And then also we do like to have some class specials. So there are a few that we'll mention at the end too. So why Korean skincare? So how we describe this to people is Koreans are typically focused on skincare as a lifetime wellness approach. So instead of having a problem, oh gosh, I have acne, let's go and find an esthetician or a doctor to give me something for it. They're actually focused on prevention instead of intervention, which is really somewhat different than what we experience, right? We're always going out to try to take care of something instead of prevent. The focus a lot on the products and the treatments that you'll find are focused on repairing, healing. I mean, a lot of patent ingredients for anti-inflammatory healing. How does the body restore and heal itself? We also find that with Korean skincare, they have a lot of unique, innovative ingredients. I mean, and a number of new delivery systems too. So you've got these amazing ingredients and you put them on your face, but how does it actually get deeper into the skin? And so the Koreans are coming up with all kinds of different techniques and delivery systems and technology for how to pull the products deeper into the skin. So the whole AO Medical, the Korean lines that they carry is perfect when we're working with issues like rosacea, where mainly aggressive treatments and like harsher ingredients actually can make it worse, which we found over the years. And then the other thing I want to say that not all Korean skincare is equal. And we just wanted to say that it's important that you note that just like in the United States, companies that sell here and manufacture here, same thing in Korea, that where they source their ingredients from, how they source their ingredients, is very important. Where the ingredients are put in their ingredient deck. And AO Medical is a medical grade line, and that is because the active ingredients are so packed and powerful and way up at the top of your ingredient deck. AO Medical is the headquarters for the distributorship is out in California. And many of you know Lydia. She's a phenomenal support to many of us, all of us who are working with her. She is the master distributor, and she has several lines that are available to us, and lines and skincare devices from HOP, which was formerly Sculpla, the O2 Derm Oxygen Machine, Dr. Estee, Duamore, Skin Culture, so a number of different products that is available to us. She has partnered with the HOP line, so it's real exciting to be working with her, and we hear about just the new reformulations and the new product development, and they're really hungry to provide us with some pretty amazing top-notch products. AO Medical, we view it like a one-stop shop for your corrective skincare needs. So we are getting not just, access to several lines, we're getting access to really the top lines that are available in Korea. So that's also a difference too. So some of the other unique benefits of AO Medical, like when you work with them as a wholesaler, it's super easy to set up an account, but there are no opening minimum orders, which is phenomenal because in the past that used to be kind of hard for me, when I $3,000 opening order and I'm not even sure I'm going to like all the products. So here we get to have no opening order. There's no minimum order. So it's $200 free shipping above a $200 order, which is also really great. They don't sell on Amazon. Their website does not directly compete with us either. So I know that for all of us, that's a struggle. And so what's exciting here is AO Medical isn't out to compete with us. They're here to support us. And Lynn and I have never met a more generous company who's actually really 100% for the esthetician, wants to back us. And the other thing is, if you're out there on your customers going out trying to find a cheaper price, they can't. And if for some reason they did, AO Medical is already all over it. They've got people scanning that daily, and they will give you one warning for you to take down the sale price. And then if you don't, then they'll ban you from your wholesale account. So it's reassuring to me to note that I'm not going to be undersold online. That really gives me a lot of peace of mind.
Okay, now I'm going to take over from here. I do want to say to everybody that I focus on corrective skincare. I've done this for about 20 years. I am in Wisconsin, and I'm not sure if it's just because of my location, but a huge chunk of the clients that I've seen over the years have and suffer and deal with rosacea. So this is one of my favorite topics to teach about. So if anybody does have questions, and Rachel and I are going to look at putting together some specific classes that really just do a deeper dive on the skin condition itself, as opposed to combining with products and protocols for AO Medical, for those of you interested in that. But like Rachel mentioned, when I teach a class, I really like to share with you guys some more nuts and bolts kind of thing, not just so much, oh, here's the products and protocols, but giving you a little more information on the condition itself. So what is rosacea? Rosacea is actually a vascular condition. It affects the blood vessels in the skin, and it also affects the immune system. It affects well over 16 million Americans and as many as 415 million people worldwide. and could actually be larger because a lot of people, as you may find, for those of you who do have clients come in, and if you have hopefully you have a consultation form where you're asking clients, have you been diagnosed with rosacea? And I would say more than half of the time, I'll have clients say no or don't know, but they actually probably do have it. Okay. So there's probably well more Americans and people worldwide that actually do have rosacea, but just have never been diagnosed. And partly that's because if somebody has acne rosacea, they're more likely to go in because they have the acne, the blemishes, the lesions. But if somebody has just the erythema, the redness, they're less likely to go in because they might think, oh, I've been flushing all my life. It's just something that it's me, right? They don't necessarily even think that it's a problem, a disease, or a condition. So in terms of who it affects, though, in terms of whether it's Fitzpatrick levels or ethnicities, tends to more likely be Fitzpatrick 1 and 2, and in particular, people of English or Irish descent and Irish descent. However, that being said, I'm going to show you some pictures as well that people, skin of color, higher Fitzpatricks, can indeed have rosacea. And I do see it frequently enough, just to let you know that it's not always automatically somebody that's just fair skin, Irish background, Nordic background, things like that. It tends to be more common in middle-aged women. Okay. However, men can have it. And we're going to talk about, there's 4 subtypes of rosacea, and men tend to suffer from a couple a little bit more than in terms of the others that women do. And then as well, we're going to talk a little bit when I show you some pictures of rosacea, how it appears on darker skin. It's going to appear a little bit different, just to know what to look for. So we as estheticians can never diagnose, right? We can't diagnose skin conditions. However, we need to learn how to recognize the conditions, because if a client comes in and answers the question, if you say, hey, do you have rosacea? Have you ever been diagnosed with rosacea? And they say no or don't know, but you suspect that they have it, you need to proceed accordingly. So we're going to do our rosacea facial or a sensitive skin facial, right? We need to do that, okay? Because it can go bad. It can go badly, the treatment, if you don't do that. And it's better to act on the safer side. So that's why I would always say it's more important to learn how to recognize the signs for us as SDs. Again, I always will tell my clients, I'll ask some questions, and we're going to talk about that a little bit when we talk about like symptoms and things like that. But when I ask questions, if I get an answer of yes to more than 2, 3 questions that I'm asking, and then I also go by the skin analysis, I'm going to probably then say to them, hey, whether or not you've been diagnosed with rosacea, you have some of the symptoms, and it's possibility, based on the questions that you're answering. So I'm just going to kind of proceed as if you do have it, because it can't hurt. I will tell you that when I do proceed that way, the majority of the time, if not every time, I can't even remember a time, to be honest, when it hasn't gone in a way where it's improved the situation with the client, whether it's the erythema, whether it's the breakout. So that's really, really important. In terms of looking at location on the body, a lot of us think of just the face, but it can be face, neck. It can be the chest area as well. So just to know that on the face, definitely cheeks, nose area, and chin, sometimes the forehead. Sometimes it's just the cheeks. Sometimes it's more the nose, and sometimes it's a combination. And then when we talk about a particular subtype of rosacea called ocular rosacea, it's going to affect the eyes only. So that's going to be helpful as well. We're going to zoom in on those in just a second. In terms of unknown cause and no cure, so there is no known cause to rosacea. They don't know. They believe it could be an overactive immune system. They do know that there is a hereditary component to it. So a lot of times, if you ask your clients, if they say they don't have rosacea or they don't know, if you say, hey, or ask them, has a relative, a parent, an aunt and uncle, a grandparent have been diagnosed with rosacea, oftentimes they'll say yes, or they'll say, oh yeah, my mom or my grandma were always flushed. They always looked bright red, things like that. So oftentimes you will see that there is a hereditary component as well. It's also important to know that it's not caused by poor hygiene, and it's not contagious. So even if they have the acne, pustules, or whatever, it's not necessarily something that they're doing. There are things that can trigger it. There are things that can make the situation worse, but they're not actually causing it, right? What they're doing is not causing it. Like a lot of times we think, well, poor gut health can help to contribute to acne, poor hygiene, et cetera, but not the same with rosacea. In terms of risk factors, I wanted to mention this to you guys. Typically just being female, because female happen to be predominantly the largest group of people compared to male and female getting rosacea. Having skin that burns easily in the sun. So again, looking more at our Fitzpatrick 1 and 2, but not necessarily means that people of darker skin tones or higher Fitzpatricks can't get it. People are typically over the age of 30. So the average age, you guys, of people where it becomes really, really noticeable or flares is about 35, just to keep that in mind. That being said, my daughter, for example, her father and her grandma both have rosacea. And my daughter, since she was really little, experienced the same flushing that one would expect from, like, if she runs, if she gets a fever, stressed, she can get pretty pink. So even though it probably won't become full blown, if it's going to, probably won't be until she's in her 30s. There are usually some indications when they're younger that they might say, oh, I noticed that when I was younger, but it really just became more prominent in the 30s. And also with acne rosacea, sometimes you'll find that clients are dealing with the erythema in their 20s, early 30s, and then all of a sudden mid 30s is when they start to experience more the blemishes, what we call the papulopustular rosacea or the acne rosacea. Also, smoking tends to be a possible precursor because it happens to affect the capillaries and the blood as well, especially in the facial area. Okay, so now we are going to talk about the 4 subtypes of rosacea. This is really important. We are going to tend to, as estheticians, really be focused a little bit more on subtypes 1 and 2, which I'll explain up at the top. They're the top 2. So our first rosacea subtype that we deal with is actually, they call it facial redness here, but really the technical name is going to be erythema. Okay, so it's means redness, flushing of the skin. So you can see up there, they could have visible, not only persistent redness and flushing, but you can also see the visible blood vessels as well in the skin. So little distended capillaries, it can go over the nose, it could be cheeks, chin, and forehead, or just the cheeks. Typically, when it becomes more full-blown, mid-30s and up, it happens to be, I would say, overall, a little bit more intense. And the thing is that if a client does not manage their triggers or understand what's really going on or use products that actually inflame it and make it worse, the flushing doesn't regress. So that's why it's really, really important to let your clients know. And we'll talk about this a little bit later too, in terms of when to go see a doctor, but that's why it's really important for them to actually get technically diagnosed. So at least they have that in their charts, and then they'll kind of follow the protocols in terms of managing triggers, things like that. The second form, which is going to be the second most common one that you're going to deal with, is called actually papulopustular rosacea, or we commonly call it acne rosacea. And I really want to mention a little bit here, give you guys a little tip, because there is being called acne rosacea. It actually is a subtype of rosacea, and it actually is not acne, even though it does have pustular, it has pustules, it can have little papules, little whiteheads there that you see. And that does not mean, though, that somebody could not be diagnosed with rosacea and acne. They can. It's not as common, but it totally is possible. So someone could have facial redness, which is the erythema, right? Version or subtype of rosacea, but they can also genuinely have acne. The main distinction or ability for you guys to determine whether or not you're dealing with a true acne versus a true acne rosacea is going to be almost 100% of the time. People that have just acne rosacea have the absence of blackheads. So you can notice that this picture in the upper right-hand corner here, the woman has some blemishes here. She's got the little bumps going on. She's got the redness. But if we actually blew this up, you would probably find no blackheads on the nose, no blackheads on the cheek and the chin, the cheeks and the chin area as well. So that is like pretty classic to figure out whether or not somebody has acne or acne rosacea. The other way to kind of tell is that you can see that there's an underlying redness and erythema under the skin all over, not just where the blemishes are. So that's another thing to look for. So what's really important in terms of us just noticing, again, we can't diagnose as estheticians, right? But what we need to look for is that if we then thought to ourselves like, hey, this just happens to be somebody with sensitive skin because they don't know they have rosacea and they have blemishes, if we try to treat them with products and protocols that we would for regular acne, it's actually going to make the condition worse. And if we actually treat it with somebody that actually has rosacea, work on hydration, reducing inflammation, you're going to notice that those blemishes are actually going to, a lot of them are going to resolve as well. So it's going to be contrary to what you would be doing with acne. Stage or subtype 3 is actually called phytoramus rosacea. It's where you have a bulbous nose. I tend to see it more in men. Sometimes they can actually get not just a thickening there and a redness, but actually lumps. Okay. They used to say that President Clinton, W.C. Fields, they would have this bulbous nose, and a lot of times it would be misdiagnosed for people being heavy drinkers, okay, because they would have this chronic red nose, but it actually is a subtype of rosacea. Again, we don't really treat that. We really can't treat the bulbous nose. That'd be something that would be done in a medical doctor's office. But we as estheticians, just knowing to look for it, we can use our devices and our protocols to help reduce the inflammation and the redness, but we won't necessarily have much success with the thickening of the skin and the lumps there. And then lastly is the fourth subtype, and this is called ocular rosacea. It's where they actually get redness around the eyes. Sometimes they're actually prone to styes as well, and their eyes look very bloodshot. So again, poor thing with these guys is they look like they just have allergies a lot of the time, or they're drinkers, or maybe on drugs, something's going on, but it actually is a subtype of rosacea, and this would also be diagnosed by a doctor as well. So watery, bloodshot, burning, irritated eyes. So it's just really important, I guess, for you guys to know that there's not just one type of rosacea. A lot of times we just think redness, and we don't realize that there's these other 3 subtypes that we need to be looking out for. Okay, so in terms of what rosacea looks like, the signs, common signs, again, we're just going to go through these. We just saw them in the pictures, but redness, papules. You can also have pustules as well. Telangiectasia, which is the little distended capillaries, flushing, and the rhinophyma is the more the bulbous nose, so a thickening of the skin there. So, and again, this is just more of the stuff that we're going to see, like in terms of what's going on with the skin as opposed to the eyes. Okay, I wanted to show you this. Initially, I didn't have these pictures, but then I thought, you know what? When I see skin of color, I actually know what to look for when I'm looking under my mag lamp. So oftentimes, if you have higher Fitzpatricks that come in and you're just doing a consultation in the chair, you're not looking at their skin. They might not even know that they have rosacea. Okay. So this is why I highly, highly recommend that if you are doing skincare consultations, with the client, you definitely take the client into the treatment room, even if it's a free consultation. My consultations are all free. So whether or not a client comes in and actually signs up for a facial treatment at the same time, they can come in, they fill out the form, we walk through all the questions, and then I have them come back into the treatment room where I actually cleanse their skin, and I take a look at the skin under the mag lamp, and I have gloves on my skin as well, so I've cleansed them. And this helps me really get a better idea of what's going on close up. Because again, if somebody has a darker skin, it's going to be harder to see the erythema, but it is there. So these examples here, this one's a little bit darker, a little higher Fitzpatrick, but I have clients that are Fitzpatrick 5 that are much darker, that it's really hard to see unless I am looking under the mag lamp, and then I can see the redness under the skin, and I can see little bumps as well. So again, but this is just to give you an indication of, it is highly, highly, I wouldn't say it's not as likely as Fitzpatrick's 1, 2, but I often have my clients that are Hispanic, my African-American clients, definitely a group of them that do deal with rosacea. So just to keep that in mind. And if anybody has questions while we're going along, Rachel's going to be monitoring the chat as well. So I know I'm going to be covering a lot of stuff here, but just feel free to ask questions in the chat too. Triggers of rosacea. These are the main known triggers. And again, you could say, well, why do I need to know all these triggers? Because when we're working with our clients, just like when we're talking about acne conditions or anti-aging things, like you need to wear a sunscreen, you need to minimize your exposure out in the sun, you need to, wear either sun protective clothing or a hat or sunscreen, right? We still need to know if clients are dealing with rosacea or we suspect that, we want to let them know that there are triggers. And so I oftentimes will walk through and say, hey, do you notice that when you're out in the sun, hot weather, taking a hot shower, an intense workout, do you notice you get really flushed right away and it lasts for quite a while? These are some of the questions that I'm asking. They're like, yep. I'm like, well, when you get really stressed, if you have to do like a presentation at work or something, do you tend to get all flushed, like face and neck? They'll say yes. Hot drinks, spicy foods, alcohol. These are things that I'll ask. And usually if they answered yes to 2 or 3 of these questions, this is where I'm suspecting that they could potentially have rosacea. And again, I'm probably going to suggest that they go to a doctor to get a formal diagnosis, just because it is important to know, especially if they're dealing with the papular pustule or potential with the phytolus rosacea or the ocular rosacea. But again, going through this with them is going to be really helpful for them to know what to maybe watch out for. Okay. Now, I do have some clients that they are known to have rosacea and they're like, I'm not staying away from the alcohol. I'm not staying away from the spicy foods. Okay. But at least we educate and we say, it's kind of like our clients to say, I'm not going to give up the tanning beds, and I'm like, I'm not going to give up this, but I really want to have great looking skin. I want to have younger looking skin. Right. And we're like, well, not necessarily going to go hand in hand. So I've got the percentages on the right that just tell you, like, in terms of percentage affected, like what the top triggers are. The top triggers are definitely going to be sun exposure, environmental stress, hot weather, wind. So those of us in the northern climates, your clients are going to get really triggered in the summer, but also super crazy triggered in the winter. And so our protocols, when we talk about home care, I'm going to give you a little bit of different things to keep in mind, especially, like I said, those of us who are in the colder climates. So we have the winter, the wind and the cold temperatures. That's going to really flare things up, and we're going to need different products and maybe different treatments during the winter time for our rosacea clients. Again, we've got alcohol consumption up there. We've got hot baths, cold weather, spicy foods, humidity, and then it kind of goes down from there. Okay, I want to show you this, and I'd like you guys to kind of write this down. There is an organization called rosacea.org. This is a national organization for rosacea sufferers. They also have tons and tons of information on here, you guys, or on this website for providers, whether you're medical providers, whether you're estheticians, anybody that basically could be coming into contact with somebody that may or may not be dealing with rosacea. So you can reach out to them, and they send you a packet for free, you guys. And these are just some of the things that they'll send to you that you can actually keep in your practices and you can hand out to clients. So again, whether or not they're diagnosed, even if you suspect it, there's like a checklist in the brochure, right? Well, these give them triggers, most common triggers, things to look out for. This is going to be so helpful because I've had so many clients, and I bet you there's several of you on the call right now, and knowing that, your client's probably gone to a doctor and they'll say, well, other than giving me a medication, they didn't suggest proper home care. They didn't give me any other information talking about triggers, or a brochure of where I could get some extra help and support. So for us to be able to have that in our practices and to give that to them is going to be another way to separate yourself, to really put you in the professional seat, which is really awesome. So also separate from that, if you guys just want to learn more about rosacea as well, there's a lot of information there. But again, they might ask for if you're willing to pay a small donation that just goes toward their costs in general. But if you can't do that, they will usually send you a nice packet of these. So highly recommend reaching out to the rosacea organization. Okay. Medications often prescribed for rosacea. So when we're doing intake form or consultation forms from our clients, even whether or not they even know, sometimes they might not even know, like, hey, I actually have rosacea, but these are just some common rosacea medications that clients are on. So whether or not you want to know, like, can I work with a client if they are diagnosed with rosacea and they are on a medication? Typical formulations, azelaic acid, which is just a generic general exfoliant that happens to work really, really well and often prescribed for clients with the acne rosacea, the papular pustular rosacea. I did want to let you guys know that AO Medical is actually coming out with a new, and I have a typo in here with lines, but a new line is coming out in 2024 using azelaic acid and really going to focus on rosacea and sensitized skin. So we're really excited for that. Azelaic acid is one of the most common prescribed ingredients for that. I'm going to be sharing in a little bit another ingredient that's right up there with the azelaic acid that is in a couple of our products with AO Medical that we can use in our treatment. So I'm really excited to share that with you as well. Metrogel, Noritate, which is basically an antifungal, that's also really commonly prescribed for clients. The Metrogel tends to be prescribed more for the erythema, the redness. So something I want to mention, because you may be wondering, because you may have heard it. So people with rosacea tend to have an excess amount of Dominic's mites on their skin. They don't know whether the mites, the extra amount of mites that they have are due to the rosacea or if that's partly causing the rosacea. They don't know. So that can contribute to the inflammation, the inflammatory response, the redness. So the Metrogel is supposed to help with that. They're also using ivermectin topically, believe it or not, with cilantro to help with, you may have heard of that with the pandemic. Some ivermectin used, but it's also used for rosacea. And then oftentimes you'll have clients on oral and topical antibiotics. The problem and why we need to know that is obviously when people are on antibiotics, the skin's going to be more sensitized. We're going to be more limited whether they're on oral or topical antibiotics. So that's really important to know. If they are affected by rosacea, if they are being treated by a doctor, we need to know what type of product or prescription they're using. Metrogel is not so much of an issue in our treatment room. Neither is the azelaic acid, but the antibiotics in particular would be. Okay, what can estheticians do to help? So again, first and foremost, we're probably going to be dealing with the subtypes 1 and 2 primarily. So on the top picture, you're going to see somebody with the erythema. The bottom picture, you're going to see somebody with the papular-pustular acne or rosacea, which is actually acne rosacea, which you're going to see the erythema there. So they do have the redness, but then they also have the acne blemishes. So when we talk about our protocols are going to change depending on which subtype, and the devices we use are going to change a little bit as well. So we're going to be doing deeper dives into particularly working with these two subtypes. Starting with a good consultation and skin analysis. Why this is so important is because, like I said, probably 50% or more of the clients that I have coming in where I suspect rosacea, they are not diagnosed with it, but I'm suspecting they do. So I'm still going to proceed. So it is really important for you guys to do a good consultation, do a good thorough skin analysis, and ask the right questions. You, again, can get them on the rosacea.org website. We're also going to be putting a lot more information from today's class, more detailed information in our SD Sisters Facebook group as well to help people with information, whether it's on ingredients or just questions to ask as well. The other thing you're going to want to do with your clients, again, is really letting them know about the triggers. So once you've asked them to identify their triggers or give them that information, because once they have identified their triggers, they're going to have to watch out for those triggers. Because again, if somebody is dealing with the erythema, which is pretty much all of rosacea being this vascular condition, eventually, once they've flushed, they know, oh, well, eventually after I've drank that wine or I've exercised, my face will go back down to normal. Well, what happens eventually is if they keep getting triggered too many times and as they age and they're not actually managing those triggers and managing the flares, the skin permanently stays bright red. And sometimes it almost goes into it has a thickening effect all over the skin I've seen and almost a little purple color to it, even the lower Fitzpatrick's. So the texture is not good. It's really hard to do anything for that. So again, they really, really, really need to get this condition under control. Even though it tends to look more cosmetic, it's not. It actually is something that is inside out. Again, referring to www.rosacea.org, this is you're going to refer your clients there for more personal support for themselves. Again, we're going to be able to use protocols. We're going to use devices. And we're going to also be able to offer them home care that's going to support them as well, whether it's the subtype 1 or 2. So we're going to managing breakouts, managing the redness. And then again, we're also going to be focusing, I'm going to be letting you guys know in terms of a lot of the ingredients that we're going to suggest. It's also about keeping the skin soothed, cooled, and hydrated. Those are going to be really key for you guys. So reducing inflammation. We're going to definitely be using some things for the antibacterial effect, but we're going to talk more about the devices for that because again, products, ingredients that are really targeted for acne are going to make the rosacea worse. So we have to balance that fine line there of that tightrope walking to make sure that we're helping them suppress and deal with some of the symptoms they have without making it worse. Okay, Rachel, do you want to talk a little bit about ingredients that we see in products that we need to avoid when we're dealing with rosacea? You guys can screenshot this as well, or you can ask for the slide deck later.
Yeah, and these are a handful. Specifically benzoyl peroxide, it can increase the skin's oxidative stress, and then that kind of works to increase inflammation, and then ultimately can cause premature aging. So it's something that we avoid. The salicylic acid can be just way too irritating for people that are having rosacea or have rosacea, and also pretty drying. So we like to avoid that. There's a lot of people getting on tretinoin and other retinols from their doctors or other SDs. And, doctors and a lot in the medical community are starting to shy away from that because, you already have a hypersensitive skin or barrier. And then, we all know the side effects, right? Potential side effects of retinols, including tretinoid, which are really strong. They can make like redness stronger, spider veins worse. Glycolic acid, actually, way back when I used Jan Marini, and that used to be the frontline protocol for rosacea, kind of interesting. But over the years, what we're finding is it's just kind of really unpredictable who would take to that and be who would respond well. So now we're actually going opposite of that. We're not using glycolic acid, particularly because it's such a small molecule and it goes in really fast and deep and can cause irritation, that tingle. And so we're already got inflamed skin and redness. And so we really don't want to be activating that in that way with a glycolic. Hydroquinone can be too harsh for rosacea to tolerate and can also easily inflame and then sometimes even burn the skin. So again, just all these ingredients that are really active in that way you want to avoid. We also find artificial fragrances can be really triggering. And I don't have rosacea and they can be really triggering to me, but particularly to a really sensitive impaired barrier. So, camphor, peppermint, menthol, that cool feeling is great, for people that don't have rosacea. But, instead of feeling cool, a lot of times rosacea people feel burny, itchy, not a comfortable, experience. So we tend to avoid those as well. And then lastly, we've got in here facial scrubs. I get new clients all the time with, even they know they have rosacea or just really sensitive, irritated skin, and they're using facial scrubs. So again, that abrasion is not something that you want to use with people who have rosacea. And I think the next slide is products that we want to use, right, Len? Yeah, okay. So there's tons of products here. I'm going to, what?
Ingredients.
Yeah. I'm sorry, products. They're ingredients, yes. And speaking of products, all these ingredients happen to be in many and several of the products in the AO Medical line. So that's exciting that that we have really good stuff in our products. Niacinamide, most of you know that, has huge anti-inflammatory properties to it. It can ease redness that you see, the acne, eczema, other skin conditions. It's usually almost like a frontline defense for treating rosacea. And it's also alongside azelaic acid typically due to the anti-inflammatory benefits of that particular ingredient. Albuterol is also anti-inflammatory. It can treat redness. And it's a great, by the way, fading purple, red purple acne scars, from pimples, which is really nice. But it also inhibits negative reaction to UV radiation on the skin. Aloe super healing, Centella acetica extract. It's actually a medicinal herb in Europe, which is kind of cool. And it also really helps calm inflammation and also encourages production of collagen. So it's kind of a dual thing. It does so while increasing hydration also. So that's a neat ingredient too. So I'm not going to go through all the definitions. I'll just kind of say ceramides, green tea, hyaluronic acid, seaweed, snail filtrate, goat milk, black fermented royal jelly. Lynn, you wanted to cover the lactobionic acid.
Yeah, I'm going to cover that one a little bit later. I will, because it's going to be a couple of the products that we have that we're going to use.
Perfect. Glutathione, beta glucan, HOBA, azulene, altoin, bisobolol, vitamin C, zinc oxide, topical probiotics, licorice root, rose water. So you guys that are interested in kind of diving a little deeper into why each of these is so awesome for rosacea or can really help rosacea, I'll be posting that with a little blurb underneath each in our SD Sisters authorized training and support group on Facebook. So just note that that'll be there with the details. But these are ingredients that you find in the medical products. And then we'll be sharing more about that a little later too.
And we're just doing that for speed of our class, because our classes, as people know who have been repeat attendees, they can get kind of long. So we want to dive into the actual protocols with you guys. Okay, so AO Medical treatments and back bar for rosacea. So first I want to go through a few of the protocols, and we have for you guys, we have written protocols that we're going to be showing in a second, but I wanted to kind of walk through these basic ones. And then what I did was we put in here like some of the key ingredients, why we recommend these particular protocols that AO Medical has, and then extra back bar products that we recommend as well for you guys to use, even just with kind of a basic standard rosacea facial that we've created. So first up, we have something called the SD Sisters. We called it initially the basic rosacea facial, but now we're calling it the advanced rosacea sensitized facial protocol because we are combining a variety of modalities along with products in there as well to get maximum benefit, whether it's for just the erythema or the acne rosacea. So we tweaked them a little bit. So like Rachel said earlier, we love all the products. Rachel and I have tried almost everything. Okay. So as the stuff comes out, we're trying, we're working, we're using this with our clients. Same thing with devices. Because we focus on corrective skincare, we're really trying to pull the best from the best and put them together to get maximum results for you guys. Okay. So that's what when we talk about our bundle later, it's going to really be working off of that SD Sisters advanced rosacea and sensitized facial protocol that we have. However, there are some other protocols that AO Medical has, and Rachel and I have tweaked these as well. So when you look and see our written protocols or in our Facebook group, you're going to notice these are a little bit different from the ones just on AO Medical, because again, we tweak it a little bit. We might add like a little bit different enzyme, or we might add a different modality with what you see. Okay. So we always tweak them to get maximum results. So the Omega Green Kit, you guys, is not only fabulous for acne, for grades 3-4 acne in particular, but really, really works super great for acne rosacea, super anti-inflammatory. So it has the allantoin, it has chlorophyll, and that Centella asiatica extract. So the only thing we recommend, and you'll see this when we scroll down, if you want to do a screenshot of the protocol, or reaching out to us for it later. For rosacea, we're going to suggest omitting the hexapeel. So when we do the acne protocol for the Omega Green, most of our clients are needing extractions. So we suggest combining with the Duomore hexapeel, putting that on the face, 10 minutes, 15 minutes under saran wrap, removing it. Now, one of the good things though, is when somebody's dealing with acne rosacea, we mentioned that they usually don't have blackheads, right? So that's really not even an issue. You're not going to really need to do much extraction. Okay. So when you're following the Omega Green facial in terms of what Rachel and I, our protocol, you're going to omit the hexapeel there. Next, the Duomore Ultra Oxygenic Treatment. If you've not seen this one, it's also another really fabulous treatment. We call it the bubble facial. So for those of you who are already in our private Facebook group, if you search bubble facial, that's what you're going to find. But it's actually on the website, on the AO Medical website. It's listed as the Duomore Ultra Oxygenic Treatment. This one has probiotics, aloe, allantoin, Centella asiatic extract, snail filtrate, and licorice root. Awesome, awesome. The only thing I'm going to suggest with that particular one is, and we have some modalities. So when we get to the modality part, how we're going to tweak it a little bit. But when you do use a little bit of a sponge there, it's not a sponge, it's kind of a little mitt, and you're gently kind of rubbing on the skin. As long as you're doing that very gently, it's super soft, really soft. It's like using the lightest cotton. It's just really, really gentle. Just don't work it really hard when you're doing it. Okay. If you have really aggravated rosacea, but the ingredients in here are awesome. Okay. Fabulously awesome. Okay. Next we have our O2 Derm glass facial. And for those of you who have not seen or taken our class on the glass facial or the O2 Derm machine, which I have right here next to me, it's awesome. I will tell you that facial treatment, or that device I have here, I use this dome. There's a dome over here that I use all the time, and it in a flash can really work super well with calming and soothing rosacea skin. So when we do the glass facial, and again, I'm going to scan to the treatment in a second, to the protocol, you're going to omit the goat milk peel part of it. Okay. And I also recommend omitting the whipping balm mask with really aggravated rosacea. You can then you can do extra LED. Okay. Or there's another step that you can do, but usually when we're dealing with really, really bad inflamed rosacea, we're not really focused on exfoliation, guys. We're focused on reducing the inflammation, calming the capillaries, and then doing some antibacterial work. And what you're going to do is you're really going to be focusing more on the modalities with that. Okay. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. The Tiffany peel, you may be surprised. So for those of you not familiar with the Tiffany peel, this is one of the peels that we love, 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 because the 2 ingredients in here, there's 5 steps. In the first 2 steps, you're dealing with something called polyhydroxy acid. In particular, we're using the lactobionic acid. Okay, that's a polyhydroxy acid. And also it has lactic acid in as well. However, step 4 from the Tiffany peel is solely a 10% lactobionic. with a lot of other goodies in it. Okay. So that's going to be really exciting. So what you're going to do and what you're going to see in our rosacea protocol is that we're going to actually be adding an exfoliating option, a light exfoliating option at the end, doing an application of step 4 of the Tiffany peel, because lactobionic, you guys, I'm going to give you a little bit of heads up here what this is. So lactobionic is actually helps with sensitive skin, helps with the capillary issue. It helps to really calm and soothe, very mild, very safe, actually has a lot of hydrating, regenerating, and moisturizing properties. It's the new generation hydroxy acid, okay? And it actually, even though it generally does a little bit of exfoliation, it stimulates, also, we already know it's stimulating collagen and elastin as well. But compared to traditional acids, it does not have an irritating effect to the skin, okay? And it also helps to, again, they're actually combining and saying that it's almost equal in terms of the gentle exfoliation used for acne rosacea as azelaic acid. So we found an article that actually links them as being perfect partners, or one or the other. So right now, while we're waiting for the azelaic acid line to come out, we can use our step 4 Tiffany peel with the lactobionic. So for our acne rosacea clients that we want to do a little bit of exfoliation, perhaps at the end, just to kind of have that little antibacterial, relieving some of that built up skin cellular turnover, we can go ahead with the step 4 of the Tiffany peel. So that's why I wanted to let you guys know. When I'm doing that though, we're going to combine modalities, and we're going to talk about that in a second. We're going to combine red and blue LED, our tonisher or Dr. Platon plasma, and then our erasure, which is our cold laser therapy. Now, in terms of back bar products, extra back bar products that we're going to be using in our rosacea protocol, these are products that some of them are going to be new for you, others maybe not. This is brand new, and I am loving this for my acne clients, for my acne rosacea, and my rosacea clients. It does have a teeny little bit of peppermint. It is way at the bottom, so it's very light, not stimulating. It's called, by Skin Culture, it's the blue-green algae sherbet mask, and algae is super, super calming and reduces redness in the skin. So I want to just scoop out a little bit and just show this because I just love it. So here it looks, and when it goes on, you guys, it is the best smoothing, cooling mask like ever. Like love, love, love. It's new, just came out. So I just want to share that with you guys, that this has become a new staple for my acne, especially my teen acne and my rosacea clients. So I'm really, really loving this, okay? It also has something in there separate from the algae, a Cell 300 that is antibacterial and really works to support capillaries as well. We then have our Dr. SD Skin Solution sheet masks. And I didn't grab one of those, but it basically is a white box, and it's from Dr. SD. And I think it's like 5 masks for $18. It's very inexpensive. That particular sheet mask is focused on reducing redness. So it's got the allantoin, the centella asiatic extract, aloe, and green tea as well. I love to do galvanic on top of that to further penetrate. We've got Aquasure. Let me show you that, you guys. These are parts that are drawing today, but we're going to be doing, it's called the Solution Fit Gelatin Mask by Aquasure. This one has niacinamide and aloe in it. We then have the Tiffany peel, the Radiant Step 4, like I said. So that's the one that has the lactobionic. Do Amor Da Jojoba is actually the closest to our natural sebum. It's an ester, not an oil. Super anti-inflammatory, really great calming on the skin. This particular massage gel actually has honey and rosemary in it as well. Very healing, great for all skin types. I love to massage all skin types, but in particular my sensitized skin and even my acne skin clients with the Do Amor Da Jojoba massage gel. Also, for those of you who have not heard of this, Skimbolic Trinity Calming Ampules. So there's actually 3 sets of ampules that Skimbolic has. They have a glowing one for hyperpigmentation, and one kind of like just kind of anti-aging. But the calming one is amazing. It's got an ingredient in there called Vincentoxicum atratum extract. It's a natural form of azulene. And so what I do with that is you can apply it. You can use some galvanic on top. If a client does not have aggravated rosacea, you can actually do a little bit of light nano on that, okay, just to further penetrate it. Same thing with the Dr. SD. We have, I'm going to talk about that later because this is back bar. But if you happen to have some of the Dr. SD ampules like the azulene and the hyaluronic, it's called the Hyalab Moisture, you can actually do a little bit of nano or a little galvanic with that as well. Then the goat milk peel, I put that here because typically it does have 0.5% salicylic, so a small amount. However, if somebody has more sensitive skin and does not have aggravated rosacea, like super inflamed rosacea, if you just keep this on the skin for a minute, they're usually good to go. And then you remove it. Okay. So they're usually fine. My clients, even with some mild rosacea, don't get really triggered. So that's why we put an asterisk here, because the goat milk in and of itself is a pretty gentle peel. It does have several polyhydroxy acids in it, like the lactobionic and gluconolactone as well. So very calming and soothing to the skin. But just letting you know that that's an asterisk one, that if someone is really inflamed or really, dealing with severe rosacea, you'll omit that. One that I've used, if you're looking for something other than the Tiffany peel, and this is actually what we were using prior to having the Tiffany peel step 4. Dr. Estee has a daily enzyme powder wash that has a little bit of, it has papain in it to do the exfoliation, a little bit of bromelain, allantoin, aloe, licorice root, and green tea. It's actually very, very mild. It comes in a powder. You put up a little bit, I'd probably say like a quarter size in the palm of your hand, add a little bit of water, massage together, apply it gently on the skin. If you actually just massage it here, there's no grain left. It's just like little bubbles. You can leave that on the skin for about 3 to 5 minutes and then remove. And that would be a light exfoliation for clients that are really sensitive, really sensitized skin, that you can't really use pretty much anything else on. So if you want to do a light exfoliation on somebody and you don't know what to go to, that can be great for back bar and retail as well. Okay.
And then Lynn?
Yes, Rachel.
I just wanted to add that, for people that are new, and haven't even gotten on AO Medical website, just is a note and a reminder that we are absolutely available to do a one-on-one call. If you see something that interests you, just write it down or circle it and say, that sounds intriguing. We can definitely walk through that with you another time.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just trying to put this down so you guys can see all the devices here. I think we're kind of lost here, but anyway, I'll start and I'll move the camera here. Okay, so the main devices that we're going to be using, in terms of from AO Medical, and pretty much, I would say, like, of what's out there, because we're really limited in terms of a lot of stimulation electrical devices when we're working with active rosacea. Okay. However, we have some really great tools in our toolbox. So we have in the past, up until just recently, like 2 weeks ago, we had what's called the Toniture Plasma / galvanic device. I'm going to show you what that looks like. So it actually has 2 heads. This is the galvanic head that can be swapped out for a plasma head. So the plasma part of the Toniture, and it's similar to the new Dr. Platon. It's just like plasma on steroids. So I'm going to talk about plasma in general. Plasma has very antimicrobial, antibacterial, sterilizing properties to it. It also creates little microchannels in the skin. So it helps the ingredients that you're going to be penetrating later, that you're going to be putting on later, to penetrate or be absorbed more thoroughly. So Toniture is going to be your go-to, your plasma, especially for your acne rosacea, but also acne rosacea. So you go very lightly over the skin. And I will tell you that my clients that have acne rosacea, even in one session, they have little pustules. After one session, it's only 10 minutes long, you'll see a significant reduction in the little whiteheads there. So really, really awesome. We'll also talk a little bit later about LED, because that's kind of our old go-to, but this is our newer go-to. The Dr. Platon device, this is what it looks like. I'm going to slide this over, guys. So for those of you who are not aware, you may have gotten the email or seen some of the Instagram posts and things like that. So this is a new device that came out, and it actually is about 4 to 5. I would say it feels like it's 5 times stronger. It has 5 levels than the Toniture plasma. This is amazing for hyperpigmentation, product penetration, increasing product penetration by 24% for the next 12 hours, but major antibacterial effect on the skin. So I have been loving it on my acne clients and my acne rosacea clients. So while it's not necessarily going to help with redness per se, it will help with, they think that the plasma is actually going to be beneficial for the mites on the skin. So again, people that have rosacea have a higher concentration of these mites, right? So if this can help with reducing some of that, as well as some of the bacteria for those dealing with the papular pustule or the acne rosacea, this is going to be another go-to for me. So again, if you have the Toniture plasma, that's going to be great. If you now have the big guns, or you want to, really up your game and you want to go with the Dr. Platon, this is going to be kind of what I'm using from now on. I'm going to focus more on selling the tonisher for my clients for retail. Because if you have a client, by the way, you guys, that are dealing with rosacea, again, it's never cured, it's managed. If you can give a client that has acne rosacea a tool that they can use at home to kind of help to keep the situation at bay, and they can still come in for treatments, but just to have them use something, twice a week, 3 times a week to help keep that at bay, that's going to be very helpful. Same thing we talk about the ratio with minimizing redness. So you may have some clients that are dealing with, just it's hard for them to come in regularly or too cost prohibitive. And just giving them a tool to use at home to really help maximize the benefits is going to be a win-win for both of you. So the galvanic head, how do we use that? This is going to be used where we're going to be using it on top of our sheet masks, and we're going to use it on top of our ampules. So again, this galvanic device is very gentle. I know a lot of people have asked this question before when we were talking about using it on top of the spicule treatment with our last melasma hyperpigmentation class. But this particular galvanic device, it's grounded by holding our fingers on each side. And then we have the little curved galvanic part here. So it's not the same as intense or as the old galvanic devices where the client was holding the grounding bar in their hand and having the current go through the body. It's very, very gentle, but very effective. So just wanting you guys to know that if you do have galvanic, we're using the tonisher, you're going to be able to use this for your acne rosacea clients, among other clients, but you'll definitely be using both heads. Then we have a device called the Racer device, which is a low-level laser therapy or cold laser. Rachel, would you mind muting people if you don't mind? If you can see if you could do that. Sorry, we just have a little background noise. So the cold laser, I'm going to just turn it on and show you what it looks like. So it has 4 beams, 4 red beams. Let's see if I can show you that. 4 red beams that kind of come through the center there. Okay, they go down below the dermis. This device is going to be really, really awesome for redness. So my clients that have the distended capillaries and the flushing, this is amazing. Now we have had people say, well, isn't that also used to slim? I'm really afraid that if my client has rosacea and they have redness, but we don't really want to take away any fat. For fat removal, it really is something that would be sold for home care and used on a daily basis. Okay. For in the treatment room, it can help with the slimming. If you're using it on a particular area, it helps with a little tightening, but don't worry about it, on the cheeks. If you're doing a minute or 2 to help with relieving redness, that it's going to reduce any fat there. Okay. Just keep that in mind. True fat reduction is actually from ultrasonic cavitation, which is not what we're doing. Okay. But this device is awesome. So what I recommend you guys is when you're using the Racer, oftentimes we say, let's use our devices in the beginning of the treatments. Like I tend to use my Trimester Pro, my tonisher oftentimes in the beginning. And if I'm using it for a slimming effect, I'm usually going to use it at the beginning as well. But when I'm using the Racer device for redness relief, I tend to use it at the end of the facial treatment because even if you're trying to go really gentle, just removal of product and your touch is going to tend to have them be a little bit more stimulated. So I like to use the redness relief Racer toward the end of my facial. So after I've done massage, if I'm going to do light massage, and again, very gentle, we'll talk about that as well. But then before I've kind of put the sunscreen and stuff on, if I put a little bit of, any serum on or anything, I'm just going to do this very gently. The Racer device does not need any product to be used with it. However, it does help with slip. So again, if you're going to use this on a rosacea client at the end, I would definitely use a little bit of product because it'll just glide so gently and it feels very cooling. It does not heat up. So even though it goes below the dermis and it's called a laser, it's a cold laser. So it does not have any heat whatsoever. Now we have our O2 Derm dome. This again is my go-to. So my dome is what I'm going to put on. So if I have a client that's really, really lit up, I'm going to have them with some gentle serum. I could have the soothing mask on, something like that. And I put them under that oxygen dome. And I'm telling you, redness relief, pretty quickly, really great. Another thing that I didn't mention here, but it is a part of our O2 Derm glass facial treatment. I have done treatments on people where they were super, super dehydrated, because that can happen very well with somebody with aggravated rosacea. So a lot of erythema, super dehydrated. And I knew that I didn't want to do the first half of the glass facial. I'm like, nope, not going to use the goat milk peel. I'm not going to use the whipping balm mask, but I knew that I wanted to use my spray gun with my oxygen ampule. So I used this after I did about 15 minutes. I did some red LED for my inflamed rosacea client. And she had really bad, irritated. She almost had some dermatitis going on prior to that. So I used my ampule, sprayed that all over. I put my energy whipping cream. It's called the Oxygen Moisture Energy Cream by Wishaderm. I sprayed that on, put this on top, put her under the dome for 20 minutes. Skin was like glass, amazing, beautiful, super calm, super hydrated. So again, you can tweak these treatments depending on what your client's needs are. But if you have the O2 Derm machine and you have the oxygen dome, whether or not you have it with LED, go ahead and use it. Okay. It's going to be really, really beneficial. And last but not least is our old go-to standby, your LED. So if somebody's dealing with erythema, the red is going to be really supportive for reducing inflammation. And the blue LED is going to be the antibacterial. Now, if I'm dealing with somebody with acne rosacea or papular pustular rosacea, I'm going to do both of those. I'm going to first do some blue LED and then I'm going to do red. Why? Because somebody with the acne rosacea is dealing with inflamed skin. They do have the erythema as well as the pustules or the papules, right? So somebody with just erythema, I'm going to do the red LED, but somebody that's dealing with both issues, the acne rosacea, I'm going to then be doing a combination of the blue and red LED. So any questions up to that point so far, Rachel? Otherwise, I'm going to go to the next note. Okay. You guys are doing good. Okay. I just wanted to show you this because we knew the Dr. Playton is so new. I just wanted to show you a couple pictures or 3 pictures for some different issues just with using the Dr. Playton. So on the left is one of my clients, and I did an omega green facial with the Dr. Playton, and I also used some blue red LED for him because the omega green facial, you guys, by the way, the PDT mask at the end is called a photodynamic therapy mask. So it's meant to be used under LED. It does not have to be. I will tell you, for a year and a half, I used the omega green facial without LED because I did not have a panel. And it got great results. But if you guys can see well, you can tell that he had a lot more erythema, not necessarily rosacea, but he did have some pinkness in his skin and definitely around the blemishes. And we significantly reduced that using 10 minutes of the Dr. Playton and then our LED with him. The top right, you're going to see somebody, this is one client that has actually very glycated skin. She's a smoker. And we have just started our second treatment after this particular session here. We're going to be showing in our Facebook group, and Rachel's going to be showing on Instagram as well. We're working with her with some needle-free filler facial, but I wanted to show you what one 10-minute session, so 5 minutes on the side of the face, what the Dr. Playton treatment did. So that's what the plasma does. It can do significant tightening in the skin as well. And then the bottom one is actually our mother, who was here for 5 days when I first got the Dr. Playton plasma device. And I was really working on hyperpigmentation around her eyes. And so you can see the significant brightening of her face overall, but then in particular under her eyes. So we just wanted to add this in here because Dr. Playton is so new of a device. We wanted to show you all the different benefits that you guys could get from this one device. Okay, here we go. Yes, Rachel.
The IPL on the Omega, whether we're recommending that or not.
You don't do IPL with rosacea. IPL is primarily for dealing with sun damage, not melasma either, because it creates heat. So you're not using that. You're only going to be using, and you're mostly using it for Fitzpatrick 1 to 2. If you're using that for Fitzpatrick 1 to 2, it's going to be up to 5 minutes maximum, about 2 to 3 weeks apart. If you're working with somebody with a higher Fitzpatrick, it's going to be about 2 minutes, about 3 weeks apart, but only for sun damage, you guys. So it's not going to be for PIH. It's not going to be for melasma, and definitely not rosacea, because that's it creates a lot of heat and it's very intense, but definitely LED is good. Okay. So here is Rachel's and my protocol. I'm just going to do a quick walkthrough. And then this can be found actually now on the AO Medical website, along with the bundles. So we're doing a cleanse. My go-to cleanser, you guys, for anti-aging and for sensitive rosacea skin is the Moisture Gel Cleanser by Dr. Esty. I'm using this even for my acne rosacea. Optional, we said Tonisher Plasma or Dr. Playton Plasma, again, because if you don't have the device, it's optional. However, Rachel and I are pretty much using plasma now with all of our facials, because just solely because it increases product penetration. But now if you're dealing with, and you have this really awesome antimicrobial and antibacterial sterilizing component to it, it's going to be phenomenal with your rosacea clients that have the extra mites and then the acne rosacea. Skin laser toner. We're going to talk a little bit how the amazing ingredients that are in there, really good for rosacea clients. Exfoliation. This is if you want to do an exfoliation lightly. I suggested that you guys can use the enzyme wash by Dr. Esty. You can also skip this if you wanted to, and just we do talk at the end how you can use the step 4 from Tiffany peel with the lactobiotics. So you could do that in addition to, or instead, depending on how inflamed the skin is. Massage. And again, when we're massaging, it's very gentle, very light, using the Duomore DA jojoba massage gel. If you have LED and Tonisher, LED, again, if you're using the galvanic head is going to be to penetrate any ampules. You can use it on top of a sheet mask. So again, galvanic is going to be more for increasing product penetration and absorption. LED, again, reducing inflammation. If you're using the red LED, blue is going to help with the antibacterial effect. Mask. My 2 go-to masks, again, are going to be either the sheet mask, which is the redness relief, redness skin solution by Dr. Esty, or the Azuline, not the Azuline, I'm sorry, or the new blue-green LG mask. Now, if you happen to have an AquaSure mask, or you have a different skin solution mask, something else that you want to use that has the goodies in there as well, definitely you can use that, okay? Again, we didn't want to give you like 10 options for masks, so these are kind of our go-to what we use, and I've been really getting good results with these. And then remember that when you're removing product, you want to go not hot towel. You want to go kind of with not necessarily cold, but cool or lukewarm to remove, just not to stimulate that redness again. Optional exfoliation and hydration treatment. Again, this would be if you want to apply, and I have another typo there, sorry. 1 syringe of the Tiffany peel, step 4. That's the Radiance ampule. So if you're not familiar with this, the Tiffany peel, you can buy a set, which includes all 5 steps, but you can also buy the ampule by itself. So if you just wanted to buy step 4 ampule, you can go ahead and do that. Treating, I love to treat the Dual Barrier Lotion by Dr. Esty. It's a thicker cream, but it's lovely. It's not too heavy. This is my go-to, especially in the winter months for very, very dry skin. If you need more hydration or you have oilier skin, we love the Dr. Esty Aqua Infusion Water Drop. Hands down, love it. It's my go-to for my rosacea clients. Eyes and lips, we're still using the HOP Promoter Repair Eye and Lip Cream on both the lips and the eyes. And then protection. We have 3 go-tos actually right now. So I'm going to mention 2 here, but I'm going to give you additional one if you have somebody that has a lot of oily skin or or just a male, someone that doesn't want to wear anything a little heavy. So the HOP Sun Cushion, I will tell you right now it's good through Fitzpatrick 3, they say 1 to 3. The reason why, even though I love an all mineral sunscreen and I still think I love the zinc and really going with that, people that have rosacea tend to want to minimize the redness, right? So the Sun Cushion is going to do a phenomenal job of kind of being that BB cream, that lightweight foundation concealer for them without being heavy. And it's going to neutralize a lot of the pink in their skin. So even your males, people are going to really love that HOP Sun Cushion Compact. Okay. And otherwise, you also can use the HOP All Mineral SPF 50. That is good through Fitzpatrick 5. And then another option you have that we just didn't put on here, but it's an option. Dr. Esty has a mild sun protection SPF 50 that's all mineral as well, very, very lightweight, and it actually helps to control sebum production. So that may be an option for you guys dealing with clients with acne rosacea as well. And this facial can be done monthly. Typically for rosacea sensitized skin, you guys, we recommend monthly treatments with them. Okay, I'm just going to kind of cruise through here and just basically show you, because you guys can find these protocols in our SD Sisters Facebook group. Rachel and I are going to start to put a lot more of our protocols on YouTube as well. So we do have a YouTube channel that you guys can check out and subscribe to as well. So the only suggestions we have in terms of working with the Omega Green protocol is that to substitute the pore affecting extractor, that's a solution that does not have salicylic acid in it if they did need some extraction. So let's just say you have somebody that happens to have erythema, they have rosacea, but they have true acne, and you want to do some extraction. So you're going to be like, okay, I'm really caught. I don't really want to use the glycolic or the salicylic and the hexapyl. What do I use? There is a Dr. Esty pore perfecting extractor that's very gentle. So that's your option. And then just follow the protocol the rest of the way down. And that's your Omega Green protocol for acne rosacea. Next is the Oxygen Bubble Facial. We would omit the Time Master Pro. Why? Even though there's LED in there, we omit it because the Ultrasound and the electromuscle stimulation actually stimulates and increases blood flow. And we do not need that with our rosacea clients. And if somebody has acne and pustules, you're not going to be moving all that bacteria around anyway. So we're skipping the Time Master Pro with this particular protocol. And then you can kind of follow everything else with the oxygen bubble facial. With the glass facial, we're going to use the Rosacea device at the end of the facial. We're going to skip the whipping balm mask because that can be a little bit too stimulating and too detoxifying for somebody with a lot of redness in the skin. So those are kind of the main pieces that we skip. And again, customize, customize, customize. If somebody comes in and you're like, well, they're not going to technically do the glass facial, make up your own facial. I still charge the price, and then I'm adding in some other goodies. I'm adding a different mask. I'm still going to maybe put them under the dome twice, or instead of under the dome twice, I'm maybe going to have them under an LED dome for 15, 20 minutes. Okay. So again, feel free to customize these protocols. That's what we're doing. The little blue circles, the ovals at the end on the side just tell you how we're customizing it, altering it for rosacea treatments. Okay. In the treatment room, again, you're going to do not use steam. You're not going to use super hot towels. Make sure you cool them down quite a bit because that's just going to really increase the flushing. Again, we're going to emit facial scrubs. If you guys are in states where you can use lancets, okay, or you can do extractions, you're going to avoid doing them over distended capillaries or cholangiostasia. So you're not going to worry about getting a big blackhead that's right over a capillary, like a distended broken capillary. No, 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 no. Sorry, you're going to have to kind of just leave that. Perform heavy-handed facial massage with aggravated rosacea. No, you might do a little bit of maybe pressure point or very gentle effleurage, very, very light, but nothing that's going to be too stimulating. Okay. You might focus on the hand and arm, focus on the scalp, do a foot massage for them. Okay. Another thing that I didn't put on here, but I want to mention is that I keep my bed heated. When your rosacea clients coming in, they are already warm. Most of them want the bed off. So if you notice that someone has a rosacea, you might ask them, would you like the bed on or off? And usually they're going to say bed off, just to let you know that. Okay. So, because that's the last thing you need is for them just to be heating up internally while you're doing the facial. Also performing gua sha. Again, what gua sha does, you guys, is increases the blood flow. It brings the blood to the surface of the skin. So obviously no cupping, no gua sha for people with rosacea.
Yeah. And Lynn, before you jump in to finish that slide, just note that, if you had to choose one device to start with, like Dr. Platon versus the tonisher with the galvanic, because there's value in the galvanic too. Obviously there's a price difference, and maybe you want to cover that. And which one
so the thing is that, obviously the Rosacea is going to be more for the redness, the erythema. This one, the plasma is going to be more for the antibacterial component, but also then you do it increases product penetration. So does the galvanic. So both are great. You're going to see some specials later, but right now, this one is $285. That's the wholesale. So again, they're very affordable, and the tonisher is $320. So again, these devices aren't breaking the bank, but they do a lot. So if you are a person that does deal, I would say almost 50% of my clientele is with rosacea. So obviously I use my devices all the time, daily. So I guess I would probably start with the tonisher, because you do have the galvanic and the plasma, and the plasma having the ability to maybe work on some of the mites, could be really supportive. And also it depends also if you guys already have some LEDs. So whoever asked that question, do you have any LED, like blue or red LED? Because if you did, then I would for sure go with the tonisher, because then you can use for some of the redness relief, you could use your red LED. Dr. Platon is plasma on steroids, or that tonisher on steroids. So it's super, super intense. But the Dr. Platon is something that, if you have clients, anti-aging clients dealing with hyperpigmentation, melasma, and you want to really break that stuff up and lighten and brighten, even in one treatment, we see huge results. That's if you can afford that one is going to be I don't want to say the holy grail, but I'm telling you, in the last week, I don't even know if I'm going to use my regular tonisher except for the galvanic now, because the Dr. Platon is just giving me such amazing results. I can go to a level 5 and really break stuff up and tighten so fast. So it's, like I said, 4 to 5 times stronger, more intense than the tonisher. So we just see really big results. Again, if you can't start with that, definitely start with the tonisher, but for those of you who can, invest in the Dr. Platon, and you are dealing with anti-aging, you're dealing with people with hyperpigmentation and melasma, that's going to be a really nice universal device for you guys. Okay.
Yeah, and Lynn, and just note again that we started with Tonisher, and it's an absolutely fabulous device.
For
We've
sure.
got
Hands down.
tremendous results. So it's just a leveling up. And then also some people that level up to the Dr. Platon, we're doing home care with the Tonisher now. So, you can work it that way. Yep. And then there's a question, Tonisher for erasure. What's the difference between cryo to bring redness down and the Tonisher?
Okay. And the Tonisher? Oh, totally different. Okay. So the cryo devices are actually cooling devices, right? So they can get really, really cold. So it depends on how intense you're doing it. So you can definitely use cooling globes, or if you have a cryo device, you can definitely use them over some of the sheet masks, like in the bubble treatment, really nice to cool and soothe, right? But the plasma is what's increasing product penetration. They create little microchannels in the skin. It helps to, it also, like I said, has the antimicrobial, antibacterial effect. The cryo doesn't have that. It's just cooling, only cooling. So the Tonisher plasma breaks up hyperpigmentation. It also has if we have the mites, it can help to kind of work with some of those as well. So yeah, plasma is just and tightens the skin. So it just does completely different things. But if you don't have a cryo device and we used to call them from BioElements beauty globes, but they're actually cooling globes that keep them in the freezer. You can use those on the bubble facial, like on top of the sheet mask. That's something really nice and gentle for your clients to soothe and cool as well. And not expensive. Okay, so I'm going to go to the next slide here. Okay, I want to quick walk through the home care products that we recommend. So again, for your clients with rosacea, Dr. SD Moisture Gel Cleanser. It has the ceramides and the probiotics in it. The skin laser toner comes in a variety of different sizes, very affordable. Aloe vera, Centella asiatica extract, and allantoin. So that's in the skin laser toner. The Dr. SD whitening serum, believe it or not, it's got vitamin C, a whole actually group of vitamins. So not only does it help with whitening and brightening the skin, it actually has glutathione and the vitamin C, which is very supportive for rosacea skin types. Dr. SD Azulene ampule. Now, again, your clients don't necessarily need all of these. You can pick and choose, but the Azulene ampule has been really great, especially for my male clients that want something very light. It's very lightweight. Azulene comes from chamomile. It's very calming and soothing, reduces redness. It's got green tea, goat milk in there. The Dr. SD MGF ampule has the snail filtrate in the goat milk. The Dr. SD Hyla Moisture ampule has rose water, goat milk, and 6 different types of hyaluronic acid. And hyaluronic acid is indicated to really be supportive for people. I will tell you, reducing inflammation, increasing hydration, your 2 key pieces for regular erythema. And then you add in the additional piece with the antibacterial with blue LED or the plasma for your acne rosacea. That's like your recipe for success with these skin issues. The Dr. SD Dual Barrier Lotion, it has 2 different types of hyaluronic acid, ceramides, Centella asiatica extract as well. It's actually 5 ounces, you guys, that retails for $60, super affordable. That is going to be one that is going to be really dry skin or awesome for your rosacea clients who are in cooler climates, cold climates in the winter, to put that on as a barrier when they're walking outside, whatever, they're going to love that. The Dr. SD Aqua Infusion Water Drop. That is our go-to. It has for oily acne, whether it's my acne skin or my rosacea skin types who just need a little extra hydration, jojoba and fermented beta-glucan. HOP repair moisturizers. By the way, these have not only snail filtrate, rose, Centella asiatica extract, lots of healing ingredients in these. Niacinamide, whether you want to go with the normal dry for your drier skin types or the oily acne, both are going to be super amazing. And especially if you're dealing with clients that are dealing with anti-aging issues, right? Because you're like, oh, I want to get them on all these calming, soothing, anti-inflammatory products, but they still want help with anti-aging. So knowing that we have the HOP moisturizers that can really help them with giving them that polylactic acid is going to be, and growth factors is going to be really helpful and really appreciated. The HOP all mineral sunscreen, we have the zinc oxide, rose water, black fermented royal jelly. We have our daily enzyme powder wash. And we, last but not least, the HOP sun cushion. It has all our goodies, like in terms of our polylactic acid and our growth factors, all our anti-aging, but mostly I'm using that for the good coverage of redness in the skin. So I still would actually recommend putting a little layer of the all mineral sunscreen on first because it has the zinc in there. Zinc is naturally antibacterial and naturally anti-inflammatory. So then using that sun cushion is just going to give you like more of the foundation, a very light kind of coverage effect. Okay, here we have for you guys, this is just a really simple simple. So this is if you distill it down, like just in terms of, we're going to give them a cleanser, we're going to give them a toner. You're going to decide what product for hydration. You're going to decide what product for moisturizing. You're going to decide what product for treating, and then an SPF. So that's it. Okay. Keeping it super simple. So even though we gave you a bunch of different options with the retail, it's going to tweak and change depending on the age of the client or what other issues they're dealing with. Okay. Next, I just wanted to touch upon this very briefly because we mentioned that in this class, we would talk about impaired skin barrier in general. Rosacea falls into that category, but we have other clients, right, that are dealing with, they're on medications that cause impaired barrier. They, environmental stress, health issues that they're dealing with, autoimmune conditions, right? People can be dealing with all these different conditions and issues that can cause the barrier to be impaired. So symptoms, dry, scaly skin, itchiness. They can also have dermatitis, rough or discolored patches. So even hyperpigmentation, sensitive or inflamed areas, bacterial, viral, fungal infections. So wanting you guys to know that basically the rosacea protocol that we've given you, you can use for impaired barrier issues. Okay. So it's not just, so if someone's like, well, they don't have rosacea, but they have really sensitized skin, or they're dealing with other issues involving an impaired barrier, you can go ahead and use the advanced rosacea and sensitized skin protocol. That's why we added that to the protocol name, so that you guys know that you have one facial that you can use for all of that. Again, these are two bundles we came up with, and you can find them on the AO Medical website. So it's called Advanced Rosacea and Sensitized Skin Facial Bundle Back Bar. This is what would be in there. If anybody's interested in having us do a call with you, if anybody's interested in joining our Facebook group or having us be your rep, or, you know, working with you, please let us know that in the chat as well. And before you do that, hang on, because I just want to mention my treatment room, mentoring in the treatment room course as well, because it's a program. People have been asking about that a lot when you guys have been joining our private group. And so I want to make sure that everybody knows what this is. Many of you on here are in our group. And if you want to just say something in the chat, like how it is, but we meet live weekly. This is an ongoing group. We've been doing this for 2 years. Okay. I do ongoing mentorship with people. So during the week, if you guys have something that comes up with a client, with a treatment, and you're wondering what to do, I help and give you support in the group. Okay. So it's real time as well, but we meet weekly and we go through Q&A, case studies. I do continuing education on everything from ingredients, case studies, skin conditions, analysis, protocols. We also cover client issues, like how to deal with client situations. We have now started talking about, in the last, 6 months or so, business topics. We talk about taxes. We talk about retirement. We talk about how do we price things? How do we market our stuff? So this is a really wonderful option for people that either are newer SDs, wanting more continuing education, you want business support, or you want to be a part of a really amazing community. Right now, we have people commit to a year, but it's only $59 a month. The price will probably be going up a bit in the summer because we are going to be, like I said, we're adding all this business content in here too. And you have access to almost 100 weeks so it's probably 150 hours or more of content that actually is listed in there out by issue. So it'll be like, oh, today we covered, glycation. This time we covered melasma with Fitzpatrick's 4 and 5. So we write down in these different sessions what we've covered. So when you guys really want to go and learn, and I will tell you that for anybody who is in need of advanced education, continuing ed, mentorship, whatever, I will tell you that if you watched all those videos, you probably would know more than a lot of SDs probably practicing for 10 plus years, because not everybody's exposed to all this stuff. So we really pack it with lots of goodness. So again, even if you're not a new SD, but you really want support and education and a community, this is the place for you. So you can mention in the chat if you're interested in that as well. Please mention mentoring, and I can send you a wonderful video that gives an introduction to me talking more about rosacea, how the group works. I can send you the agenda as well. So just mention that in there. And then we're just going to finish. This is our advanced private Facebook group for people working with us. The only requirement to work with us really is to use our code at checkout, code SD Sisters, which is the discount code. We welcome everybody who's working with, no matter who you're working with, you're always welcome to join us on our live sessions here. our classes, we're open for everybody. But in terms of the private group, in terms of the extra education support and things that we do, that's for those that we're working with. So again, if you need that extra support, we know there are a lot of people on here that don't have a rep or haven't been working with anybody. So we'd love to work with you. So again, just mention that in the chat.